Happy Friday. It's almost the weekend. Hey, look, it's Visual Studio. Cool. We're going to be doing some coding today, but largely bug fixes depending on how long it takes to figure out the bugs. There's two main bug fixes we're going to be doing today, and then we'll move on to some feature stuff. And the goal of these is to show some interesting stuff in terms of like how do you resolve bugs, how do you debug using Visual Studio, showing some of the game and the code, and trying to get this ready for playtesting. So I'll be doing a bunch of stuff off stream, like setting it up on Steam and doing some more repetitive work in the code and otherwise to get it ready. But today we're gonna dive in and we're gonna do some bug fixes and stuff. And then next week we're gonna be playing Pokemon Arceus. But today we're gonna do some coding. So what are we doing today? I'm gonna show this Excel doc I've been working off of. For a while I was using things for my previous game like Trello or Jira, these ideas of task management. It's very important when you have multiple people working on your team. Right now, this is basically a solo project. I have some people here helping here and there, so I'm just kind of using something like Excel. But if you're doing a multi-team or multi-person project, you definitely need more of a product management tool. So what I got here is there is a little bit of color coding, and the reason is I try to designate what stuff is left. So this is filtered. The stuff that's blue is stuff that I would love to get done before hitting off for playtesting. The stuff that's in red is stuff that is the lowest priority, but will definitely need to get done before it goes out the door. And before later playtesting. And then the stuff that's in yellow is kind of in between. It's kind of a nice to have for playtesting. So for example, these are the big things. This priority right here, I just try to order it according to what I think is the highest priority. The points agile, if you know what agile software development is, you essentially assign a number of points equal to the complexity of the task. And that's what I did here. So if something has 1, that means it's actually not that hard-ish. Something that's 5 will take a more significant amount of time or has more complexity. Anything that's higher than an 8, like I have 13, 20, 20. Like these are sorts of things which, if it's higher than that, it should be split into multiple tasks. But I just kind of have iOS phone tablet implementation. It's probably more than a 20. Getting it working on iOS and phones is going to be a thing. Various updates, all of them for art. There will definitely be art updates throughout. You could incorporate switchblade animations into that if you wanted, but this is kind of a subset of this. And some things like getting certain buttons working and color schemes. Some of this other red stuff is achievements. I was thinking about doing that today, but again, that's a very low priority right now. You don't need achievements for people who are playtesting. And then fanfare and cutscenes and some other things that could happen or enhancements. The things we're going to start on today are these two. So there's 2 bugs that I'm putting at pretty easy to solve because they are repeatable. And the first one is in the solar world, there's lights. And if you hit a light and you're going sideways and you don't yet have a color assigned to you, the game crashes. It's repeatable. So we want to see, why is the game crashing? I think I know where in the code it's crashing. And I believe it's a null reference exception, which is a very common thing, or an object where something's not set. Here, you also get an object reference error, or similar error. If you hold down boost at the very beginning of the level, in this level, level 108, so something about setting the position here is not getting reset. Making sure all attributes are getting reset. And this one is something about when you're colliding with a light and you don't have certain things set. It's blowing up. So we want to fix these two first. This is another bug you can see. We were actually looking into this a little while ago in one of the past coding streams. There can be a index out of range exception for high scores for gauntlet mode. That one actually might be a little bit more than a 2, but there's something going on there with how high scores are being saved and making sure that when you're ranking high scores, that everything's ranking appropriately. I actually have another solution I was thinking of for high scores. I think one of the problems was there wasn't enough high scores. Like, it's always expecting a certain number. And often games are pre-populated with high scores. Probably for one of these very reasons. One, to have something to shoot against, right? So if you see like, oh, you know, Bob had a score of 15,000, you know, some arcade cabinet. Here we probably want some high scores already populated so you have something to shoot against. And also tangentially, so you always have some amount of high scores in there. So even if the user wipes out all high scores, those default high scores will always remain as something they have to beat or populate. So this is the first one we're going to look at. And I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to boot up the game. And there's a couple levels that I think this happens. And we're just going to have to see where the game crashes and go from there. So let's do it. So we are going to boot up the game. All right. And let's point to the game. I think it's right. Yep. Gotta shrink it down a little bit. Almost. There we go. Okay. And we're gonna go and we're just gonna select a level with lights. So music's turned off in the game. Still sound effects are there. So lights take place here in solar. And we want to find one that has rotation as well. So I kind of have these known now in my head. No. I don't think so. No. No. I think logo is one of the ones, maybe. Infiltration. No. Very good level, though. Good level. Would recommend. It's all around us. No. Man, I'm excited for people to play this game. Secret pathway. No. No. This one. Yes, this is one. A very easy one, actually. Not a sponsor. It's the swoosh logo. So I believe the game's going to crash immediately when I hit this rotation and hit a light. So the idea is you're going left-right instead of up-down, which is the default. And if you hit a light without having a color, I think the game's gonna crash. So let's see what happens. All we have to do is press spacebar and basically do nothing to start the level. Oh, enter Amy. There you go. See how the game just stopped working? And we'll show Visual Studio here. And it says right here, object reference not set to an instance of an object. And I moved it, unfortunately, so you can't see it anymore because Visual Studio is silly. And you won't be able to see any of these pop-ups, but I'll explain what's going on here. So right now, collision platform is null. It's not being set. And we're looking to find what is the position of collision platform. So one of the classic bugs in C# and really a lot of coding languages is assigning anything to something that does not yet exist. So here we're assigning, or we're looking for, either assigning or looking for, an attribute of something that doesn't exist, collision platform. Now why is collision platform null? This whole method right here shouldn't even be reached if collision platform is null. So let's scroll up to see where collision platform is being set. Sure, this is a gigantic method. It does a lot of work. Even here we see we have a check for if collision platform is not null, then get the subtype. So what we want to see is, it says right up is true, which means this was where it came in, because basically at the very top it's saying, well, how did you collide with this platform? And up here we have a bunch of booleans about, okay, how did it collide? And that gives us information about what we need to check for. It said we collided with the right up part of the platform. So we're going to go here. This was our collide position. It says that it's 225, 185. I wish this stuff showed on stream, but oh well. And our collision platforms here were, are there any of them? Doesn't look like there were. So we're going to put a breakpoint right in here. Because right now, collision platform right here is null. It's not finding any collision platforms where the bottom left corner where the impenetrable collision box, the bottom left corner is within our minimum. Our minimum distance that we're setting is, we're setting it to be this. Basically we're going through and we're finding a minimum collision distance because we're finding, well, it's got to collide with something if there's a collision platform. Get the minimum collision distance and get the platform that caused that minimum collision distance is what this is doing. So it's looping through all our platforms, setting it to an arbitrarily high number, and then saying, hey, what is the actual minimum? And then what is the platform that caused that minimum, which is what's happening right here. And it's setting that to be the collision platform. So somewhere in here, it's not finding one. And this has to do with the lights in particular. It also has to do with color. So hopefully this is where it's actually happening. If else, we're going to check this too. So we're going to put a breakpoint in there. We also have a collision light source right here. And this actually might be finding nothing because it's not colliding with any platforms. So you can see here, see how it's hitting a light, but there's no actual platforms near where the light is located. So that also might be the main issue, is that there are no platforms near the light. So when it's looking for stuff about collision platform, it's failing. So that's also a possibility, because what we're caring about is collision light sources here. But when you go way down to where the actual bug was, here, it says that the interacting color type, none, is the collision platform color, none, and that's probably because we never actually found a platform. Because this interacting color type, if we scroll back up, says, hey, we're going to get the color type that you collided with. If the collision platform color was never set, right here, if it's not null, it's setting the collision platform color. So this actually all might be some update that we need to do to this if statement. Because there's really no point in checking for all of these checks down here about combos and stuff if we don't have a color. If you don't have a color, you can't do any of this stuff anyway. Or we can also check to make sure that the collision platform was not null before going through and doing all this other work here, which is checking for colors and status effects and stuff like that. The problem is that the method, I think, is right here. If we do this if statement, yeah. So first we'll stop it, and then we're gonna redo it. And I want to see if we hit those 2 breakpoints. So we got the game going. Got some nice little jazz today. That's what I chose. Bada ding. Bada break. And it never hit the thing. That's interesting. I hit my breakpoint. I never even hit my breakpoint. Huh? Else if? Maybe it was also... Oh, right middle. Because you can be colliding in multiple ways. So let's throw one here. Let's try that again. Doop, 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 doop. Boop. Alright, I hit our breakpoint that time. Alright, so as expected, there were no collision platforms. It says 0 right here. Because we're hitting a light and there's nothing within 2. So that makes sense that it's going to find... It's going to say, well, what's the nearest collision platform? There are no collision platforms within 2 because we're hitting a light source. As you can see here, we're hitting a light. We're not hitting a platform. So that's what's happening. So we never actually set our collision platform. And we want to do a little find on collision platform. And we're going to go down. We don't want this to be null any other time. So if not null, do this. Blah, 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 blah. We're going to keep going. Collision platform dot. Switch collision platform color. The color was, okay, that's good. If this is not, if on fire an interconnecting color type is not the collision type of color, and it's one of these, okay. Keep going. And ours is gonna break right here. So we're just gonna press continue. All right, so I think I have the fix for it. Let's also look for other places for collision platform. I think it's right here. Is it anywhere else in the method? This is within the same if statement. Is there anything else outside this if statement? Yes, we're checking for platform color being set. If platform color is being set, that means it does have a color. It means it was set. And that's it. So I think what we're going to do here is we're going to go to our if statement that's blowing up. And we want to say this is all about setting a destruction, rectangle, combos, and things. And we could say a very simple thing. We just check that this is not null, collision platform. Is there anything more elegant we want to do? I don't think so. There's no reason you should be able to destroy something if you are not a color and you have not collided with a platform. So we're going to say and collision platform is not equal to no. That one, not collide platform. So it's a one little check here before we get into doing all this stuff about combos, increasing combos, and all this sorts of stuff. Is that, hey, in order for that to happen, we need to have collided with a platform. You need to have found a platform they're colliding with. Hitting a light while not having a color should not touch this part of the code anyway. And that's what was happening. So let's go ahead and see if it still breaks. And I actually want to remove those breakpoints as well. Let's get rid of that. So we got our game going. Here. And let's see if it breaks. See what happens. Nothing happens. It didn't break. Hooray. So that's how it works. And yeah, looks pretty good. Let's restart it. And we're going to try it going up and down too. Like this. And looks like we're pretty good. All right, I think we solved that bug. Just a one line fix, not even. And now we're not getting any of those exceptions where we're looking for data about something that does not exist. Which is great. So we can show this guy again and be like, done. Let's put a big old done. Bada bing. And we're only looking for that right now. All right. So the next one we're going to look at is in level 108. Warm Currents, which I think I still have it set as 108. I haven't set all the levels yet. If you hold down boost at the beginning of the level, you can get an object reference error. Oh, really? So 108 is right here, I think, somewhere. There it is, Warm Currents. If you can see right here, we are starting right above the rotation block because it wants you to immediately go right. And the reason is that you have these geothermal fires here, so you'll immediately be on fire and you'll be able to go to the right and go down and to the left, and the whole thing is with geothermal. You can also see we're a little bit squished. So one of the other things I noted here was making sure all attributes get reset on level start. So there are some attributes that are not getting reset. So you can see the player animation is not getting reset of the little ball. Other things I've seen not get reset include the static animation that goes if you break color. That doesn't always get reset either. So I think there's certain animations that aren't getting reset. And also there might be position things that aren't getting reset quite. So first we'll try the level without pressing boost. So we'll just see if it fails. It does not. So that worked all right. Now we're going to restart the level. And now we're going to hold down boost. Or turbo. It's funny, I named it turbo. But I play a bunch of other games where it's called boost. Like racing games. So I've been playing, just played through and finished F-Zero GX. I'm pretty sure they call it boost. Rocket League, they call it boost, you know? So I always say boost, even though in my own game I call it turbo. Maybe I should just call it boost. Right now it's turbo. So if I hold down turbo, you can see Switchblade speeds up a little bit to show that too. So I'm just going to hold it down. What you're allowed to do, you can start off and see if there's a bug. Alright, there was not. So I'm just going to keep holding it down. Restart the level while still holding down turbo. And now try it. Still didn't happen. So now let's try to restart the level while we're being rotated. So I'm going to go see if we can pause while we hit a block. So this is going to be tricky. That didn't seem quite it. This is going to be hard. I'm trying to do frame perfect. Alright. Maybe. Yes. That's a bug. No, that's not the object reference error we're getting. But see how we're stuck? And what's happening right now is that the position didn't get completely reset. And we're in between these blocks. Now if I can click left or right and get out of there. But what it was happening is within the left right, is basically it was trying to go left and then it was trying to go up. Left, right. And it was kind of going left, right, up, left, up, left, up, left, up, left, up, left. And it was going back and forth between the two. So that again is a different type of bug, which can happen. Let's see if we can replicate it. So we just turned right. See what happens. Yep. And I think this has to do with the animation, because the reason I say it's the animation, the position of your hitbox changes slightly when you rotate. So the hitbox of switch ball changes based off of your rotation, because if you see his hitbox here, if we pause it, you can see it's pretty small. It's like an 8x8, and I'll show part of the code that shows that. And here you can see, well, he's on fire, so it's a little harder to see. Let's do this. You can see it's slightly different when he rotates, and the hitbox slightly changes. And I think we can show that. We can also put on collision, so we can show the little box. But I'll go to the code here, and I'll show that. And then we're going to have to find out where we're not resetting his animations, because I think partly the animations also dictate whether he's rotated and stuff like that, which might also dictate what collision box he has. So all this stuff gets set very early on here in game one. We were looking at render targets before, but here we're going to look at the player. So let's scroll down and see the player. Player sprites and animations. It's actually weapon slots. All that stuff is for the code base. This is based off of Blister Blight. So here we have different sprites. And you're an 8x8 is in pixels is how big the actual sprite is. But you can see that the size of the sprite we're setting is actually a 14x17 with certain adjustments. So you can see we're 14x17 because the ball can like shrink and like stretch. So this 14x17 actually encapsulates all these different animations. And we have different animations like moving and bouncing when you're on fire. And then some other ones here that are, again, obsolete, but I just didn't delete them because they're not being used. It's one of the things where I'm curious how many games out there actually have a bunch of code that's just not used. It's just in there under the covers. But we have these collision adjustments. And what are collision adjustments? If we scroll up, collision adjustments change the hitbox and the collision box of and it could be really any object or any character, and here it's the player based off of the direction that they're moving. So here, if you're moving down, up, left, or right, it's actually changing and adjusting your collision. And what we can do is we can see the collision box change. And this actually might be something we need to slightly adjust. Now, I've played the game a lot, so I'm used to whatever the collision is right now. And I think it's pretty good. Occasionally there are spots where it feels finicky, where it's like, that doesn't feel like maybe 1 pixel off. But it's really hard to say. We'll hear that. Okay. So we can look at this, and we want to make sure we're resetting all these things when the level starts. So let's go to the player class. Let's go to draw. Go to draw method. Let's go to the bottom of the draw method. You can see there's a border here called a hollow box. This is something where I can actually draw the collision box to the screen. So we're going to pause the game. And let's draw the border to the screen. This is used for debugging, which we're doing right now. And if we go back to the game, you can see a little yellow box around it now. So you can see this little yellow box around the player. And here you can see as we're going this box. That's going to look pretty similar, but generally it's tracking the middle of the player. Right? Now when you're moving around, that box is changing, and that's your collision box. So let's get rid of some of these blocks. Now this box is actually what's causing us to be stuck in the middle of the blocks up here. So if we do the thing here where we're going back and forth, what we're going to do is we are going to hold this down, and we're going to do the same thing. Like that. We are going to restart the level. And here you can see already that the collision box of the character is right here. He's a little bit squished. We're going to hold down turbo. So he's in the squish animation that didn't get reset. We're going to click enter. And we used turbo, we got pushed. And you can see how his collision box is overlapping with this box right here in the corner. So he's every frame he's trying to go up and then left, up, left, up, left. He's being rotated. But this block is actually not being affected. So the collision isn't happening on this block, but the other stuff, like telling him to flip, is happening. However, if I have no turbo on and I restart the level, here you can see it doesn't happen. And if I restart the level just out here and hold down turbo, it also doesn't happen. It only happens when you're certain animations because they're not getting reset. You can see even the fire animation's a little bit off center too, but eventually I think we're going to have a better fire animation than just like a little static sprite over him. But it'd be cool if you had like a little fire streak or a little flame or something like that. Similar to the other stuff. But here you can see the static animation, which still happens. The static animation probably shouldn't happen because you have no color. Right now it's a default color, but it's supposed to show when you're losing combo. But here, we can even show here if I restart the level when you have it right now. And we start the level, you'll see that that static animation is going to continue. See how it started again? So that's again something that's not getting reset. So let's go ahead and see where level stuff's getting reset. And then make sure that more stuff's getting reset than it is. Like animations. And how are we going to do that? Well, we can just follow the method of what happens when you click reset. So let's go View, Solution Explorer. And we're going to go to like our pause menu. So we're going to go over here for pause menu. And we're going to go down to our restart. And restart right here. Save level and restart. And right here, there is different things for happening if you're in gauntlet mode or if you're in adventure mode. So we're not doing gauntlet mode here, we're doing adventure mode. Because when you're doing gauntlet mode, it has to do stuff like bonus time and things like that. So what it's doing right here is it's unloading and loading the current level. And then after that's done, if the adventure menu button's in use. No, it's just going to do this. So we're going to follow this method right here. Unload and load current level. So what are all the things that happens? So you can see we do have a whole bunch of things that are getting reset. And here it says to do reset speed, direction, color of ball. Well, so after it resets all the things having to do with the player, it then resets things having to do with the level, the content of the level. Then it resets things like cutscenes. So there's the beginning sequence and different cutscenes. And then it's resetting stuff in the hood, like the current time, any end of level stuff. So it's all happening right here. So all we need to do is add some more lines here to make sure we're resetting more player data. It's funny here we have something about health points. That's a relic. There's no health points in this game. Whatever. Maybe there'll be some future version of the game that does health points. We're setting it to our max. Just feel good that your health points are getting reset. We're setting us to being alive. Great. Because there is like a death animation if the level ends. And then we have all of these animations that are getting reset. The moving animations, standard, bouncing. We're always resetting our vertical move speed to 2F, which is good. Resetting the color. So we actually are doing the color. We're saying the rotate gravity controls is false. It's good. We're no longer in fire, and our clone is null. We're also clearing all our after images. So what are we missing? Well, first there's that static. So what is that static? So we can check. I'm gonna move this over here. And we're gonna go back to the player class. And we are gonna go to combo, because it's when you break combo. So trigger combo broken right here. We're gonna go there. In the hood, it's showing that the combo's broken, and it's setting that stuff. But we also want to show the static animation. So where are we doing that? Reset combo attributes? I don't know if we're doing it there. There we go. If show shocked. Here we have a status effect of is shocked is true. So we want to make sure our status effect of being shocked is no longer true. So this is another one. So both this, and we're no longer shocked. So there's one line fix for that. I like this music channel. So that's one thing. We're setting our vertical move speed to this. But clearly, all of our animations are not being reset. We have bouncing, moving, and standard. We saw in the Game 1 class here, where all of those are only animations. Standard moving and bouncing, so you would think so. But I think our animations are actually changing. Get myself adjusted. So I think what we also need to do is check what other animations are going on. So we want to look for, what are these called? Ball animation. I think there's somewhere where we're drawing it. Let's go back to the draw method. What's your old timer tune? Alright, we're not doing the clones. These are obsolete. There we go. Ball bouncing animation. If bouncing. So we also want to change our action state. So we can see there's different action states. We want to reset our action state as well. So our action states here. Bouncing. What other action states do we have? Bouncing, bouncing, bouncing. Running. Bouncing and running is what we're using. We're just using the existing action state of running. And here we have a ground standing. Interesting. So we're gonna do game state.instance.player character action state dot running. In fact, we can do standing. And the reason you do standing is because when the player class gets instantiated, that's what it's set to. And then it gets changed to any of the other stuff based off of what's going on. So we're changing our action state, we're changing the shocked, we're resetting our different animations, our 3 ones. I think that should do it. I think just resetting the action state might have done it. We can also go to our collision adjustments if we want. Because we can see here, or no, our position. If we go to entity, I'm just going to go back in time. We have some collision box stuff. I wanted to check that. That was a fun song. Oh, we're getting into more of the upbeat stuff. Our collision adjustments. All right, let's try this out. Let's see if the same bugs happens. There's a possibility it still will. But I'm like, it's like a coin flip whether that was enough. And we'll just go to the same one. That's where it was happening. It's a good one to start. So we're gonna go fast here. Also, first let's test the static animation. So we're gonna we still have the static animation. We'll restart the level. See if the static animation shows. And it does not. It was properly reset. That's good. Get rid of some of these blocks. All right, and now we are going to try to replicate this stuff. So we're gonna hold down boost. A little bit of frame buffering here. He's squooshed. We got turbo on. We'll restart the level. He's no longer squooshed because we reset the action state. Let's see if it's still intersects. It did not. So resetting the action state reset I think the collision adjustment as well. So let's try it again. See if we can get it again. A little frame buffering here. Still holding down turbo. And we didn't get stuck. Let's try it the other way. It's not happening. It also isn't crashing, so we were getting a game crash too, which was interesting. So it wasn't just, hey, it was getting stuck in the block. There was a game crash. There's an object reference error, which might have been the same reference error, the position one that we saw. Let's see if we can get it going down instead. So we're going to go this way. And get ready for it. I'm not aligned, am I? Let's do this one. I think we're good. I think that was the thing. Bonka, 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 bonka. For now, I'm going to call that solved. I think that was it. Yeah, it's good. So I'm also going to go here. We did reset the speed and direction of the color. So we'll remove this to-do. Hooray! Done. Check the collision platform when setting the position. And I think we did that. We did one check, and we know that collision platform is no longer being checked now. If it's null. So I think we're good. And if someone finds it, hopefully they'll report it as a bug. So we could know. Okay, so the only other bug here as a 1 is this high score one. So for the rest of today, we're kind of in bug mode. So rather than start a new feature, also I totally have one in progress here. This is one we chatted about last week. This was getting the snapshot logo art, but that's repetitive. I'm going to be doing that off stream. This bug right down here is one people are going to notice. It's the one I notice. And it's a 5. It might even be harder because this is a core challenge of the way that the collision's working. Collision's working pretty well. And occasionally, when bricks are moving, then I remember this song. This song's called Doobie Doo. It's that short. It goes boom, bang, bang, bang. When bricks are moving, they don't do anything. It doesn't destroy bricks. It doesn't change your color. And it has to do with how close the bricks are in proximity to each other. So we actually saw this when we were looking at our method here. And you can see when we're looking for collision platforms, we're looking for a minimum distance. And you see there's an arbitrarily large distance set of 1,000. But before it even gets to that point, you can see it's saying, well, what platforms actually are we checking? And what I did is I said, I want to check to see position within 2 pixels. And that collision within 2 pixels for me was a small enough gap that I'm not including the wrong platforms when you collide. And it will always hit the correct platform. But the problem when things are moving is that these checking for like the left middle and the right middle of platforms and things is a little bit different. Because a lot of what's going on here, and I'm actually going to show this in GIMP and how this is working. And there might need to be a significant change, but significant change to this kind of stuff is spooky. Because I could just break a lot. I don't want to break a lot at this point in the game. Point of development. So we're going to show how the collision detection is working a little bit. So we're going to go to Gimpo. We'll put it down here. Let's do a new one. I don't know why it's blue. Bro. White. Oh. Alright. So say I have a pencil. And I have a box like this. So this is the collision box. So the ball is in here. This is the switch ball. Here's his eyes. And he's got the big eyebrows. This is the ball. And he's going, he's like, hey. And say we're colliding right here with a brick. He's going to check collision based off of this spot, and this spot. If he's colliding with it directly. But say he was colliding with the brick and the brick was like this, right? Now where are the points he's colliding? Well, if he collides here, it's going to probably detect this spot with the middle of this brick or this spot with here. But say he's colliding with it just on the very edge, like this. Then you're going to compare something like this with this. And the same goes for any other spot. So if you're colliding vertically, and keep in mind that he's smaller than the brick, so actual scale, the brick's going to be something like this. That's a lot bigger. And here you're looking for something like that and there, where you're colliding. Now if we go back to the code, that's why here, if we're saying, hey, we collide with the right middle side of the ball, it's going to get our collision position of our right middle side, and it's going to check that with the left middle side of the collision box that we're colliding against. And it's going to do that within a position of 2, within a leniency of 2. Because it's trying to find all collision platforms, and then once they get the minimum, well, here it's doing a 2 list. And say, well, what's the one that's the minimum distance between that platform and the one here? And then get the one with the minimum position, and that's the collision platform. Because there could be multiple that are actually within 2 pixels of each other. So sometimes when you're doing moving bricks, you don't actually do anything. The color doesn't work or it doesn't explode. If I rub my eyes too much, my allergies are going to get me. I gotta stop. So let's check that out. I think the solution might be just extending, instead of 2 pixels, doing 4 or 6 or 8, and just saying, hey, it's going to find the minimum. There are some challenges with that of potentially destroying or not destroying bricks, but we'll see. So really anyone will work. But I think a good one is one where the bricks are moving a little faster. And where there's a lot of different colors. Oh, this one. Nah. It's not chaotic enough. There was one that was like lining up. Nah. Gotta find a really good example. I mean, we could try this one. So the key here is if we go fast enough, are we always changing to color? So right now we're red, right? There's certain points where am I actually changing colors? This is a little hard to check because right now I'm red. So those bricks are moving slowly. I'm trying to find instances where it's failing, and we might need to put something in the code that checks that. No, it's gonna explode. Where's a better place where things are moving a little bit faster? We'll say hello. It was still shaking. That's something I didn't reset. That was fun. Here's a good one. As an example. But here, there's intentional clips going on. Some really wild clips, too. You guys want to see explosion? Well, that's too bad. I think some of the later levels that use. Let's see, geothermal. The key to victory, probably. This one's insane in the membrane. I think the key is the things that can happen in this level are so good. Figuring out when it happens and then what levels it's easy to get replicated on. Because right now these bricks aren't moving. There's a moving one. Do I have... There's not that many shifting layers. No. I gotta look at my level list. Look at the list, it's the list, it's the list. And we're looking for moving. International Superhighway is very, very silly. Chaotic Blueprints is chaotic. I fixed that one. Co-op no clip. You can check out co-op no clip. Transmutation. Also, co-op, how about we check out those? There's co-op no clip. This is a... Yeah. This one's a little harder to see because there are... But this is a pretty prime example of ones where I'm pretty sure... Oh, I created the clone. It's going to be much harder to see if I create the clone. Let's leave the clone be for now. But did you see right there? When I was blue, I hit the green brick. At that point in time, it should have broken combo and it didn't. There was no sparks. See how that was different? And sometimes that happens. Like there, again. There you saw, I was green, I was holding down boost, I hit the green brick and it didn't explode. And I wonder if we can actually get this consistent. So I'm blue. Oh, sugar. We're gonna stay blue. And I think it has to do with... oops. Oops. And... Clipping. So I could tweak the distance. I did it again. I gotta avoid the double cherry. Oh, also, let's just put on the music, I guess. The audio went out. We'll just put some music on it. And jazz was done. See right there. Did you see that? As it was moving over, it didn't explode. Let's see if we can replicate it. So I hit that. Right there. I did it twice. This time, let's see if we can do it a third time. It was almost as it was, like, it was rotating up like that. This is the hard part of game testing. No. I think I was hitting the left side with my right side. So I'm gonna try to hit the left side with my right side. Take it. Right, like. Trying to replicate a bug. I did it again. Oops. So you can see it's happening. It's happening. And this is a prime level where it happens. Because of the way things are rotating around. And challenge in here is the replicating part. And it's especially brutal when you miss combos. Let's finish this level off. Complete it. No. So even there, I think I hit the blue, and it didn't change color either. Oh my gosh. Hey, we did it! So I think what I want to do is tweak something in the code. And we're playing co-op no clip. This is a good level for it. So we're going to go back to the code base. Boom, 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 boom. And right here, you can see that we're checking here. This is for the pollinator. We don't want to check for pollinators. Yeah. Checking for platforms, not pollinators. We're doing this less than or equal to 2. It also checks for, depending on the size multiplier of the Y condition. And this depends on whether you're hitting it in the middle, in the top, because as you get nuclear bricks that are also moving and stuff, that's where we want to make sure that we are not messing up. we are not really screwing the pooch here. So here we have, what a phrase, by the way. We have right middle Y. And we're getting the first or default, the minimum. And if we don't find a collision platform, we're going to find by default which one was it. And here we're doing the size multiplied times 8 for the Y position. And for the X position, we're doing less than or equal to 2. And is that consistent? So we're doing left middle, right middle is 2 and 8. Left up. Right up, right down. And all this stuff makes sense because this method is being called when you're checking for your status change left and right. And then the other one, which is a very similar method, is being checked for up or down. And yeah, this is doing the opposite, where the X condition is the size multiplier for these. And I remember tweaking this. Because if we're checking up middle, we know that our Y position is going to be within 2. But our X position, we don't know where it is. And that's based off of this size multiplier. And it also might be based off of movement. Because if we're changing up, down, yeah, our Y position is always going to be within 2. Unless a brick is moving, and it's moved, have the bricks moved after we've collided. And I think that is a big thing too, is this is only happening with moving bricks. At the moment of collision with a moving brick, it should work just like any other brick. So the issue might not be, oh, we need to open up the range for which we're checking for a collision. The issue might be, we are checking for collision, the bricks move, and now we're checking to see the position of all the platforms. So I think the issue is actually that the bricks are moving after we've already checked for a collision, and if they're moving at such a speed or at such an angle, they might not no longer be within that collision range. And that is probably what's going on. So let's see where in the code they move and make sure we're checking for collision before bricks are moving. It's a eureka moment right there. So here we're going to check the order of operations in our current level. Let's see. It's in levels. Core level. And we're going to go up to update. There's a million things in here that are updating that are not part of of this game, but are part of the legacy code base. So we're just going to ignore that. So we're not in cutscenes. We're going to ignore all this stuff. So for playing, we're starting the music. Update player, weapon, enemy, and object collisions. What does this thing do? This is looking for things like the player weapon fire. Okay. That, again, is in the previous code. We don't need to care about that. Don't need this, don't need this. Combo explode effects, those are happening. This is where we're changing the after images. That's happening after the player, which is pretty neat. And then a lot more objects. Let's see. Here we're checking for movement of platforms. So all this stuff is all these different types of things that are in the previous code base that are still here, but checking for objects that don't exist. It really is just saying, hey, for each, oh, never mind, doesn't find anything. All different art layers. And here, let's see. Collision platforms. Used for checking for collisions to decrease the list in large areas and increase system performance. So it is updating these objects. What does update object do? And here it's just saying, is it within the bounds of the view? Again, for this game, everything's within one view. And then here, update platform object collisions. Is this updating the speed? For each platform, it's applying effects. Is this actually moving? Are they moving here though? So much in here is related to the old code base. I don't think any of this other stuff is applicable. But we're going to do quick scrolls. Sorry if this isn't super helpful for you. We're actually going to put in some music too. It became silence. I was... We'll just go back to the beginning. We've got about 20 or 30 minutes here. Really, if we get this bug, we're done today. We're back to the beginning. That was it was about an hour and a half loop of International Jazz Day. Was the channel name. So let's go back here. Updating the player, so it happens right here. And then it updates the platforms. It does look like we're updating the player before the platforms. I thought that the platforms moved after you collided with them. So the collision no. I mean, that was a good idea. But the player is being updated here. And it's looking for all of these collision boxes. And then it's immediately checking for collision. So there's no in-between period where you're checking for collision and then things moved and it's no longer within range. Now, if we're colliding with something based off of this, up or down, and it still doesn't think we are within range, then that's problematic. This is going to be a hard one, as I knew. This is about moving. Let's go further into this method. And we're going to scroll down to the bottom. And here it's all about finding a collision platform that's actually aligning with you. Because if you don't, it's not even creating this static shock thing. Static Shock, the lesser known hero. it's doing this. If no special condition, it's saying it hit a wall. Which is true. That's the sound effect we would make. But what's it skipping then? I mean, I'm tempted to change the collision and just make it a little bit bigger to find platforms that are moving. But I don't want to increase the range too much. Because then there might be problems. So for example, let's look at top middle or up middle. Just look at the middle of yours. So we were colliding really upright. Let's look at upright. So when we were going up with the ball, we would hit a platform that's moving to the right. So our upright was not triggering it. So when we were looking at the top right corner and we were looking at their bottom right left corner, it wasn't finding a collision platform for it. So between its bottom left corner and our collide position, which is the top right, it somehow wasn't within 8 pixels. That's kind of wild though. Because it wasn't even a size, like these aren't bigger than normal. They're still small. Now, all things being said, I'm thinking here, it's going to find some amount of platform position or collision platforms that this is true, and then it's going to find the minimum one out of all of them. So theoretically, even if we had a really, really big position, like we had all of the platforms, and we found the minimum, it wouldn't matter how many platforms we thought we collided with. At this point in time, because at this point in time, it's not checking whether we will collide, because of course, if you had too many platforms, you'll be colliding all the time if your range was too big. I mean, we could just try it. All right, let's just try it. Sure. So we have 6 checks here. We're just gonna call it big range. And I don't know. We'll set it to 16. This is as wide as a platform. So if you collide with it, it'll find it. So we're gonna use big range. And here, for all of these, instead of 2, we're looking for 2. we're going to put less than or equal to a big range. And same for the size multiplier times 8. Now this might really mess things up. But here, if it doesn't find any, I want the one that it does find by default. I mean, how would it not find any? But we want to do this only for platforms. We're not going to do it for light sources and other things like that, because those are not moving. Now, you could also do something funky here, like if you really want it to be only for moving platforms. Now I am applying it to the size multiplier just because I'm making it arbitrarily large. And basically I was trying to get cute with in terms of like how big the distance should be, mainly to save in performance so we're not pulling in so many platforms and doing so many checks. But really there aren't that many on screen, so I don't think it's going to be a big deal for performance issues. So we got a few more here. Do. And we're only checking up down right now. We're not going to be doing left right collision. Do. Okay. This could royally screw things up if for some reason this minimum isn't working. That's okay. You can always revert it. Okay, so there you go. We just made the big range 16, which is checking for a way larger range for its initial set of collision platforms before it finds a minimum. So first we're just going to play a level or two to make sure it doesn't break. Like if I'm hitting, you know, something that's not correct. Looks like it's not breaking. That's good. Oh. I was too impatient. Break through. Alright, so looks like it's working. Now let's try moving. And this will be a big test too. Good. Haven't got any issues yet. Maybe it just works. Oh, this is more of a clipping one. Whee. Boom, boom, doom, 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 doom. Alright, let's go back to the one we were testing on, which was later one. Let's see if we get any clipping weirdness. Oh no. To avoid that. Oh boy. Avoid the cherry. Thus far, it's working pretty good. Maybe I can just set the minimum to something arbitrarily large. Good. Good, that broke. That's what I wanted. Yep. Good. Good. Alright, I think it's working. I'm a little bit surprised, but also it makes sense because it's finding the minimum. So if it's expanding the range, and we can actually look at this in the code. And go over there. And say if we're going to go to up middle here, how many collision platforms are in this count? So because I did a big range of 16 rather than 2, I'll restart the level. And I bet some of the time we'll be getting, instead of one platform, multiple platforms. So how many platforms here? 3. And that's because when we hit the top here, normally we were only finding like 1, but it's finding 3 because the big range here, the range was way bigger. You can see the position X range, the size multiplier here was, I think, at least some order of magnitude, but it was finding, hey, what's the minimum one? And we're hitting it. Same when we go to one of those. And you need to do it for the clone as well. For a lot of these, it's only finding 1, which is cool. Is it even hitting that logic anymore? Interesting. Oh, I'm not even showing the game. Oops. My bad. Oh, did I take off the breakpoint? Oh, I did. No wonder. Programming. There you go. 2. Zero. 2. So this is a good sign. but it's kind of annoying. Because I think I was trying to be too precise. And I think at some point later I did this minimum collision thing. Which we're seeing here. And before I had the minimum collision thing, I think I was just checking for within a certain range. But because there's so few bricks, I don't think it really matters. So I'm going to keep this on, and we got to do some nuclear levels as testing. Let's make sure those aren't broke. This is not a great one to test. It's a fun one, though. Uh-oh. I messed up. Oh, look. It's not doing that. Look, it's not hitting it. We're not rotating. Why isn't it rotating there? Oh, because it's... That's not good. We just found a bug with what we did. Look at that. And did you see how it rotated even though it wasn't in range? So the update we did affected the rotation. So it broke the rotation. That's unfortunate. See if this still works. I remember one that was breaking. Wasn't forest. It was the tower one. I think there's instances where this might break. But it's definitely broke for the rotation. Ah, it's a bummer. Because it found a collision platform. Where's rotation happen? Let's see. Switching the platform collision color. Right here, rotate, gravity, and controls. Interesting. So it was just thinking that I was hitting this color subtype with the collision platform color. The collision platform color was being set here. And it was setting the collision platform color subtype. So despite here me getting the one that had the minimum collision distance. Oh, it's just getting the minimum collision distance in the x coordinate. Oh, that's the problem. Here I'm getting the minimum distance and I'm saying, hey, what is the minimum distance in the x coordinate? Because it was assumed here that the x coordinates minimum condition was very small. But because we're allowing more blocks to be within this y range, which was the range for y, it found one that was 2 above and said that one's closer in the x. So that was the issue. There's no point, like I said earlier, to if you're colliding with something in the y, I think it is cool to have 2. But in terms of having the x range being bigger, I think that's all that matters. So I think what all I have to do here is change this back to 2 for the y when we're going like this. And for the x to be greater. Because it was finding ones that were out of range. And here we just want to find the one that's closest in the x coordinate to where you are. And that makes sense. And I think that will work here. And if it does work for here, then we're going to do the same thing for when it's moving left to right. And yeah. And really what we did is we just doubled the range. This used to be 8, now it's 16. Interesting. But that makes sense. Okay. One, 2, 3, 5, 6. 8. Yep. Good. All right. This will be the last thing we check today. I think. There it is. So which one were we were on that was breaking? This one. Yeah, now it's not doing it. Isn't it amazing how coding works? Yeah. And what's funny about that is I was trying to hit this one and hit the one above it, which had nothing. Like, how do you even complete this level? Well, you become this. You go like this. Bam! You can do it in less than 6 seconds. And then we're going to go back to our other one here and verify this still works. Without that was valid. not seen any failures yet. We're killing it. So that's a good sign. I think we're done. I think we're done. That was good. It's clipping. It's part of the process. Yeah, I think it worked. So the last update I'm gonna do off stream. It's the same exact thing. Is we need to do it for left to right. So it's gonna be a very similar thing, and just the other part of the code base. But I'll just do that and test it. But that's great. We figured out the bug, and all we really had to do was extend the range that we were looking, because apparently it gets a little bit weird when things are moving. So I think we solved it. I wouldn't be surprised if in playtesting someone came back and be like, hey, this isn't working, and I had to tweak it still. But maybe in some more playtesting we'll see it. But we know where it's happening and how we can tweak some numbers. But that's going to be it for today. Hey, look! I won! I didn't even touch it. It just happened. Thanks for all tuning in today, or just kind of hanging out, watching some coding. And who will be checking this out later on Twitch and YouTube. Enjoy your weekend. Next week, we'll be playing Pokemon Arceus for the first time. First playthrough on the Switch. So that'll be a lot of fun.